The real problem and the real issue and the real thrust of what Paul is getting at here is how do we as believers respond to one another in these situations where we have differing views on, and this is important, on what would widely be considered non-essentials. So, what do? Where God gives freedom, we should too. This is tough for some of us, myself included. Because all of us, we have a process that we work through on these things, and it seems perfectly reasonable to us, and no one comes to a position where they say, I'm doing this because I think it's the least mature, most selfish thing to do. And it makes me feel good about it myself, feeds my self-righteousness. Nobody does that, right? And yet, there is a tendency of all of us to think, this is the way I think, this is the way I feel, and not to necessarily understand the backgrounds of the process or the decisions of others. And so where God gives freedom, we should too. Where God leads us individually, we should walk with conviction and with grace. I mean, he says very clearly, hey, wherever you come, let each one, be convinced, be fully convinced on these issues. Like, you work that out with God. And only you know, one, the condition of your heart seeking to honor him, your submission to his authority, your desire to be a blessing to others and to be a good testimony and all that. But wherever you come down, he says, look, that's your conviction. Walk in your conviction. Now, clearly, there are a lot of things you cannot do to the glory of God. And I think what we need to do, this is where we just got to be honest with ourselves and say, hey, this may be a freedom. I mean, let me give you an example. I don't think it's a sin to dance. And I think there's a lot of sin that goes on a dance floor, right? In and of itself, no. I don't know if you've been to a prom lately. It's like, oh my Lord, here comes the fire from heaven. It's not a sin to dance, but not all dancing brings glory to God, right? So it's not like, oh yeah, okay, we're good now, right? Is that on the list of okay? You're missing the point. Because of all the things that I'm concerned about, I know Jesus has covered my sin, but he was also super clear on, hey, you don't want to be the guy to lead somebody else into sin. Who leads one of these little ones into sin would be better than a millstone tied around his neck and thrown into the lake of fire. We take that seriously.